Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia. Welcome back. So this time I am going to continue in the area where I've got active logging going on the layout. I am still making the trees that I referenced in the last video. Those will go on before this video ends. But you can see I am starting to do a little bit more ground cover up here, just kind of along where there's some rocks still poking out. This little knoll here covered with ground cover. There will be trees up on top of this and then more trees in through here. But I wanted to get this area sort of defined before I continued on over here. So what I can start to do is I can add more dilute white glue and start to put down additional ground cover in this area and hide that seam or the pink foam board, and then kind of work my way down this way. Then I can add a lot more stumps, I can add more trees, more debris like what I've got over here, make this scene a little farther along. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on at the start here. So sit back and let's see what I can get done this video. Well, a little later Tuesday evening, came back in with a variety of earth tones to put into this area. So I used some of the coarse turf earth, different earth, and blended turf earth blend, and then turf, which is kind of a really dark soil color. And that's about it. So I've got this up right now. Next step will be to cut up some pieces of wood to look like stumps. I will start cutting those. I cut them into about inch and a quarter lengths, and then use that same drill bit that I use for the pine trees, because those sections of limbs from that dead bush are about the same thickness as the tree trunks that I'm making. So they blend in pretty darn well here. So anyway, I will, and you can see it's still wet from glue. I used dilute white glue on everything. So I'm going to cut up a bunch of those and I'll start putting them in place. Once I get them in the areas where I want them, I can start adding additional ground details. I'll add some more logs, I'll put some other stuff in here, and we'll kind of go from there. So a handful of stumps ready to go in. I'll fill them in different areas. I've got my equipment kind of where I want it. You can see I put some tracks into the wet material. So when that goes back on, it'll look like it's actually moved through. I'll put stumps around it. I will have a tree, like I've been talking, laying down to be cut, and that might go either here or over here. Probably here. I don't know. I'll start putting these in and just see where it looks natural to have a tree laying down in the process of being cut as they start to work back into the timber. Well, about 5 minutes after that last video segment, and I've got the stumps in that I've made. I will wait to add more. You know, like I've said, there's going to be a new tree here, maybe one or two over here, one that's fallen, still maybe this way or this side of that, and then a couple of more stumps there, and then a few more down in here. But I'll let this kind of set. What I'll do is I'll start to get some of my super tree material, some of my other odds and ends of stuff to start building up some of the underbrush here in this area that's been recently logged. So let's see what else I can do yet this evening. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for Tuesday night. I've added more detail, twigs, branches, crushed up super tree material that I spray painted slightly with a little bit of brown just to kind of give me some different colors in here. So it looks like a bunch of broken branches have been deposited on the ground. There's sawdust. Dog is taking an awkward nap. So liking this scene. So yeah, I won't add too much more. I will finish up the tree, see how that looks, maybe add another stump, and then that one fallen tree that I've been talking about, I still will put in. And that is gonna go right here. But that'll come up a little bit later. I did order some O-scale lumberjacks, a pack of the Woodland Scenics lumberjacks. That might actually be here this week, so maybe, just maybe, they might be on this video. We'll see. Depends upon how much I can get done between now and the weekend. So with that, I'm calling it a day, and we'll see what I can do tomorrow. So Wednesday night after work, I've been out here a little bit, been kind of busy doing some other things, so not a whole lot tonight. See, I've got a bunch of material cut for pine trees. And this evening I have put together 5 of various heights. A tall one, some medium ones, and then some short ones. Those will go on the layout, probably Friday night or Saturday. As I build material here, I will get several more trees out of this. Then I'll paint them up and finish them and put them on the layout so I can continue to do the logging area. But that's for another day. Got plenty more trunks to go here, so got a lot to do yet. So Thursday night after work, and I'm about ready to call it a day. Got my Woodland Scenics lumberjacks in the mail today. So some nice figures. I will take a little time next day or two and drill a very small hole in 1 foot on each of these figures and insert a little florist wire and super glue it in place. That will hold them quite well on the pink foam board, and I'll be able to reposition them at some point in time, as I want to. They will go in towards the back. The quality of these are pretty good. However, the Arista figures that I use, and I've still got quite a few more of them, will kind of be more of my foreground figures. These will be more into the background, but they should look good back there cutting up a fallen tree. And then speaking of trees, there are the next 16. They are all built. You can see my coffee can is empty. Tomorrow night after work, I will take those outside, spray paint them, get them ready for the next steps, and I will be able to have those worked through pretty quickly. So I'm still thinking it'll be Saturday afternoon when I'll come back out here and put the trees on, and then do some additional work up where the figures are sitting. So this scene will come together pretty quick here in the next several days. So more to come. Friday night after work, I've been out in the garage about an hour. So a few things that I've done is one of the 16 trees that I was making, I looked for one that had reasonably fine branch structure from the furnace filter material. And what I ended up doing with that is I just cut off one side of the furnace filter material. And this was after I spray painted it. Bent it into shape so that it lays fairly low and tight, not completely. And then I added the Woodland Scenics guys. I drilled a hole in a foot of each one, added a little bit of florist wire, about ½ an inch, didn't need much. Super glued it in, and then just positioned those guys around that fallen tree. Then I took material that I cut off the tree that had been painted, and I sprinkled or sprayed it with hairspray, sprinkled just burnt grass on it, including the tree. I didn't add the flocking material. I figured this tree's been down a little bit, starting to dry out, so I didn't need to add the static grass. But then the stuff that I cut, I then cut that into like little branch shapes and sprinkled it around the tree, and added some cuttings and some areas in through here just to make it look like, it's a dead tree, it's been cut, but it hasn't dried out completely. So the area looks like, you know, it's been logged already. There's some of the trunks from those logs. There's a pile of, you know, dried out, rotted branches. I'll do more over here, but this scene's coming along. And, you know, I still might move this a little bit. We'll just see how it all plays out. But a nice little scene is developing here. And I have the now 15 trees painted, and we'll get them put onto the layout. Now, I will not, I'm not sure. I probably will not count that tree in my total because I'm planting trees and going up, and obviously that one is cut. So the 15 trees that I'm making will go on the layout. Again, you know, there, a couple there, and then kind of work my way around in here and fill in this area, and then I'll get this area done, cut up a whole bunch more of cut logs to put into here. So the scene is coming along. Should be able to get it mostly done yet in this video. I'm going to finish up the trees, get them planted, and then go on to the next thing here. Friday evening comes to a close, and these 15 trees have had their hair cut already. And tomorrow morning, I will apply the static grass and put them in place. So a variety of shapes and sizes on these trees. So that will probably be the last segment in this video, is showing where I have them put. And then I'll start doing something else. Time to rest. Well, early Saturday morning, and I have 15 additional trees put on the layout. So a nice thick forest, nice and dark too once you get in and under the trees. So I'm happy with how this looks. I will add in additional stumps in and around this area. So this area will have more just ground cover. There'll be a few deciduous trees, some super tree material added in a couple of spots in here. Not much, but those will count for the total tree count. I need to kind of stop right now and then kind of finish the darker ground cover under the forest over here. And some of you might be wondering, you know, if I kind of get myself into a corner, you know, how do I get access? Well, it's easy. The trees can come out, so I can take a tree out and then I can put it back in as I work my way forward. So easy access to do scenery. But this scene is not done, but reasonably done for this part. So I think I'm going to wrap up this video, and when I come back I will start in on this area. You know, it's a nice day here in Richmond, so I'm going to be outside this afternoon, not do a whole lot on the layout until a little later, but I will work on that area. And right here, you know, some of you guys and gals have probably seen, you know, I've got feeders with you know, connectors right there. I'm going to run another little piece of track kind of coming up here, and then lay out some ties. You know, that's still kind of like how I was thinking that, you know, in my imagination anyway, you know, there's going to be another bridge that's going to be under construction going over here. I'm not going to show the actual bridge under construction, but what I will do is I will have a work area over here, and eventually I will put in basic lumber and materials for building a trestle, so that, you know, I've got the crews here, and I do have that survey crew that's Woodland Scenics. I'll get that out eventually once I get a little farther. Start putting the surveyors in here, like, you know, they're planning out the track route to cross the narrow gauge, and then a big trestle crossing over the standard gauge. And then, you know, get in my imagination over here, this kind of goes up this way, and, you know, we've got another huge area for logging off over here. All in my imagination. It will never be built by me, but I'll make this scene look kind of cool where it does dual purpose, where I'm picking up logs as well as the narrow gauge is looking like it's going to extend. So with that, Keep having fun on your layouts. Until next time.